everyone. I'm Briscoe Diggs, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. Today, I have a trailblazer with me. She is the director of photography for the long-running ABC drama, Grey's Anatomy, among other things. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Miss Alicia Robbins. Hi, Alicia.
Hi. Hi, Briscoe.
Thank you for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. So let me ask you, first of all, how are you doing through all of this, the pandemic and such? How are you holding up?
Oh my gosh. Just trying to keep sane as best as possible. Yeah, it's been weird. I mean, it has been tough because when you can't really practice the craft that you love, it does make it difficult to just keep your head straight. So doing things like this, being able to talk about cinematography with people, I mean, that does help a lot. So thank you.
Oh God, thank you.
But yeah, no, it's been tough. And I think part of it is just, it's been also trying to not give myself such a hard time over the pandemic for not being completely productive every single day because I'm so used to doing that.
Right.
So that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I noticed that, the long hours that we put in on sets, it's like, now what do we do? It's like, wait a minute. I'm used to, like, I'm more there than I am home. So it's just like, it's so.
Yeah, like, am I supposed to put a 12-hour workday in at home? Oh, I don't have enough to fill a 12-hour workday.
So true, so true.
Yeah, nor do I want to.
I know exactly.
Work 12 hours at home.
Do 12 hours of laundry or something like that.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh, I'll be washing my curtains.
Oh, you know what? That's so weird you said that. I have to wash my curtains. The dust from the cat box, long story. So let me ask you, when you were, when did you first realize that this is what you wanted to do as a living?
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people in cinematography, I feel like they are always talking about how they knew they wanted to do this since they knew what a cinematographer was. Right. However, me growing up in Trussville, Alabama, I wasn't really privy to what roles were on film and television. So I didn't know what a cinematographer was. So I never even thought of that as a position. So I didn't really discover cinematography until I was actually in college and on another path to doing something completely different. So I thought that I was going to be a news anchor.
Wow, I could see that though.
Yeah, I was interested in, because growing up I had always participated in speech contests and poetry reading festivals and just, you name it, more of a performance-based speaking. And so I thought that was where I would go, is study communications, maybe political science, and work my way towards being some sort of anchor. However, when I got into college and started taking political science, I realized that I actually didn't like poli-sci at all. Didn't enjoy it. I liked the communications, right? But I didn't really like the political science. And so as I went to undergrad at Vanderbilt, and when I was there, I started working at the television station that they had, and I started actually using the camera to film my own little stories and news stories. And I was becoming a little bit more fascinated with the behind the scenes work versus being in front of the camera. So luckily I had my sister who was living out here in Los Angeles at the time. So I was able to visit her in between semesters at Vanderbilt. So that first summer I came out to Los Angeles and I was actually Universal Studios tour guide.
Oh, wow. I did the same thing for a while. Oh, wow.
Tram tour guide.
I got hit by the tram once. They fired me.
Oh my God.
Oh, no. Sorry.
So I was a tram tour guide because it was a nice combination of what I was already studying with communications and speaking, and still getting a little bit more behind the scenes and seeing what was going on a backlot, sort of. I mean, you know what the tram tour is.
Right, exactly.
Really behind.
Right.
But it wasn't until the next summer that I was actually able to be a production assistant on a film that came through Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
And that's actually where I discovered what a cinematographer was and how I became fascinated with that position. And I've talked about this story a lot because it is kind of the founding roots of why I wanted to be a DP, because the DP was Wally Pfister, who was a very famous cinematographer, Oscar-winning cinematographer, who at the time was not famous yet.
Right.
So him working on this little low budget film that came through Birmingham, Alabama, it was kind of an eye opener for me, just watching the way that he worked and how he handled the crew. I thought cinematography was a fascinating job. And so then I started going that route. So from then on out, I was starting to work towards, okay, let's do things that's cinematography based, learning camera department and all of that.
Wow.
And then decided to go to AFI per Wally's suggestion.
Oh,
he was the one that said you should look into going to AFI, and that's kind of where the ball got rolling.
Wow. So for those that don't know what a cinematographer is, can you explain it a little bit?
Oh man, that's I know that's a tough one. Going so cinematographer, it can be interchanged with also director of photography. So that's where it gets confusing too. Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Is the director of photography.
Okay.
And just what a DP, that's also director of photography, decides to be called is kind of up to them. Yeah, so you just choose. A lot of times I go by director of photography or cinematographer. I honestly don't really care what people call me. It's the same position. But a cinematographer is in charge of the camera department and the lighting and grip department to compose the frames that the director and the DP have talked about to tell the story for the camera.
Right.
So camera movement, lens choices, lighting, how the camera moves within the scene with the blocking can be worked out with the director and the DP. So what is in front of the camera, the frames, and how that looks, that is what the director of photography is in charge of.
Wow. So basically what we're seeing on screen is what, wow, that is, I know.
Yeah, I mean, with working with the director.
Right.
Yeah, so the director will have ideas about what they want to do. So here's just a quick little scenario. Say someone is walking down a hallway and they want them to walk towards the camera, and then the people round the corner and they want the camera to continue to follow. So it's then up to the director of photography to figure out how to execute that with lensing, movement, and lighting that works best for that story.
Right.
So, and it can be a discussion too. It could be like, well, when they round this corner, we get into this weird wall situation where the frame is completely blocked. Is it okay if they go this way? So you might be working with the director on changing the blocking a little bit so that it's aesthetically more pleasing to the visual design. Right. So that's a really rudimentary basic.
Right. And that was really good though. That really explained it. Yeah, because if somebody asked me to explain something, it's like we would still be here 25 minutes later. But that was really good. Thank you.
It's kind of like asking, so tell me what a NASA engineer does.
Right. I knew it was a loaded question. I was like, okay.
Not that I'm even close to what a NASA engineer is.
To me, actually, when I look at you working, I'm like, it's like a NASA. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to do any of that. I'm like, huh? The what? And then, I remember when I first got onto a set with Miguel, and it was a little short film we were doing, and they had a name for clothespins. D4T or whatever it was called.
Oh, yes, D47.
Like, yeah, D47. And I was like, what the heck? He goes, hand me that. I'm like, hand you a what?
I was like, you mean a clothespin?
Speak English. But see, even all these years later, I still don't remember what it was.
That's all right. You can call it a clothespin.
Yeah, clothespin. Or a stinger. I'm like, what's a stinger? And then it made perfect sense. It's a cord.
Extension cord.
That makes sense. You're gonna get electrocuted. A stinger.
Yep.
I got it. So, oh my gosh. So let's get back to Alicia. Oh, by the way, Alicia, before we get into this, I have your rap name. If you were a rapper.
Okay.
Ali R.
Ali Aw?
Ali R. Like
Oh,
Ali
Ali
Robbins,
R.
Ali R. They were like, what are
Oh
you?
yeah.
Ali R. I don't know why.
I'm not that cool. I don't know. That's
It was a
that
dream
sounds
I
too
had.
cool for me.
So let's get back to the important stuff. No. So one thing I've noticed, I'm jumping around, but you have 9 feature films under your belt. I had no idea. I mean, no, I should know these things. I've known you for a while, but that is so impressive, Alicia. So
Thanks.
let me ask you, what was the first gig that you had that you realized, okay, this is where I'm at the right place. I'm supposed to be here, and I'm
Yeah.
not going anywhere else. This is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life, basically. I think
Oh,
this
the
was for you.
first gig.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because with cinematography, and I'm sure with any profession, there's always going to be kind of a roller coaster ride of
Mm.
you being happy with what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh, why am I in this business at all?
Yeah, yeah.
So that does happen. The first gig that I was really pleased with, I mean, some of my early features I really enjoyed. One of my first ones was called Boppin' at the Glue Factory.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
I know it was a super tiny, low budget film, but I really loved working on that, because it was also one of those where the director and we were working in pre-production so much beforehand, and I liked the way his name's Jeff Orgill. And I just liked the way that he communicated with me. He communicated through music, like he would send me music for how a scene should feel.
Wow.
And he would send me like paintings and artists for inspiration.
Wow.
And even though this movie was so tiny, micro budget, it was still nice that I felt like we were approaching it from an artist perspective, and still doing the best that we could with achieving that artistry with a minuscule budget. So it felt like it was a really important film to create. It was my second feature, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And you know, it didn't really do much. I think it's out now that you can watch it, but you could tell it's dated. I mean, we shot it back in, I think it was 2005, and we were shooting on one of the first digital cameras that was acceptable. It was like the Sony F900, which is a great camera, but now it feels like, oh, okay, that was an older camera. But after that film, even though it was so low budget and I was hardly paid anything on it, I liked how it felt creatively. So, and then from then on out, I did have some really great projects that I love being the DP for. And then there was other ones that I was honestly questioning why I was doing this job. And it made me realize that it really is about the people that you surround yourself with, and knowing what that work is, if the work is being taken seriously, no matter what the budget.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so from then on out, like if I did have a negative experience, I just made sure that I was really listening to my heart and noticing red flags if they popped up immediately. And then I would question those red flags. And if it didn't work its way out, because red flags can pop up on a great project from the beginning, but if they don't work their way out as you're progressing through the pre-production of a project, then it's probably best to just not do it. And I've learned that over the 16 years. Oh, hello, Beetle.
Our other cat, Demario, he's trying to kill him from over there. Like, it's like, keep doing, what's going on? They're like, yeah, it's okay.
Those are the friendliest beetles.
Yeah, we love them.
They love humans.
Yeah, they hang out. They love, I like the color of them.
And they always want to buzz your head.
Yeah.
Their sole purpose in life.
So I like them, right? Sorry. Get distracted.
He wants to be in the Zoom call.
He does. I mean, everybody wants to be a star nowadays.
He has a question.
So, yeah, what you were saying, it relates to a little old cliche that actors have. There are no small parts, just small actors. And if you don't take it seriously, no matter what you're doing or what set you're on or what project you decide that you're going to, when you commit to something, you put your all into it, or otherwise just get the hell out. I'm sorry, unless it's something that's really, really against your morals and you shouldn't have signed it in the first place. But seriously, you have to just put your all into it. Otherwise, why are you here? And
absolutely,
that was really good advice you said about when you question something, that you think about it first, like take it back and just like, hey, is this real or whatever? So yeah, thank you. You're a smart person, Alicia. No, you need me to tell you. So
I try.
I know, right? Let's jump to I'll get back to your career, but I want to jump to driving plates because I want people to know what that is, because that's really exciting to me. I watch a lot of TV besides working in it, but and I've been inside of a car. I was Ben Vereen's body double, and I had to switch like outfits 6 times. In this particular scene, I'm kidnapped and I'm in the back of a car, and there's a green screen. It was so claustrophobic. There's a green screen around us, and there's a crew inside this car, and it looks like they're just driving down the street, but there's like 39 people on us. But then when I saw the scene, it's all nice, and we're in whatever, like Ohio or whatever, and they're driving down the streets, and that's what driving plates does. So I was like, oh my gosh, my friends have the company that does this stuff. So I just took all your thunder away by trying to explain it. But tell me how you and David, your husband, got involved with driving plates and how you decided to start this business.
Yeah, it is my husband's company. Just
it's David's company. Sorry. Well, you're married now. It's yours.
I mean, I'm married to him, so I mean, technically, it does make me, I guess, a part owner. But it is his company. Okay. And he designed the rig and himself years ago. I think it was 2007 or 2008. But I did become pretty involved with driving plates early on because David Smith, who is my husband and owner of Driving Plates, we've been friends and coworkers for going on 20 years now. Wow. So it's been, I'm trying to think when it was like 2001 that I met him. So yeah, it's going on a long time.
I didn't know that either. See, I'm finding something. This is awesome. I love this show.
Yeah, we were always really good friends and coworkers, and we worked together. So naturally, when he started Driving Plates, he asked me to be one of those crew members and learn the rig and learn how to shoot with the rig. And so I was heavily involved with his company until really a couple years ago when I started landing the network TV work.
Yeah, we're going to cover that.
I had to kind of drop the work that I was doing with Driving Plates at the time, but it is a fascinating company. So it is a rig that's a 360-degree rig that shoots all the angles, and you can put it on any rental car around the world, and you drive up and down the street, and you get the 360 view of that environment. And then that way, in post, they can drop that background in on a driving scene that's shot on green screen, or they might put it up on LED walls that you'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can do either way. But that's what it is. It's just a collection of 360-degree driving plates from all over the world.
That is amazing.
And yeah, they've been incredibly successful, and they're just. They've been busy over the pandemic too. I mean, that's the thing is it is a library. So people who still have content that they need to drop the background plates into, they're still working. VFX companies are still working.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really fun. I loved working with them because I got to travel so much.
Right. Yeah. I know sometimes Miguel will call me. I'm thinking he's at. I'll text him or whatever. He goes, "Oh, I'm in Chicago, or I'm in Vegas." I remember recently when he went to Vegas, it was so eerie to see those shots. It was empty.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they took advantage of the pandemic with the streets being empty. They shot Los Angeles plates where no one's around, LAX with no cars, and then also going to Vegas where the strip was completely empty. So. Apocalyptic driving plates, they were able to hit some of those during the pandemic.
It's craziness. Yeah. So that's amazing. I might interview David if he's down to sit down. If he's down to sit down, we'll do it standing up. Okay, we'll change it up a little bit.
Hey, you might want to stand. You'll just get the shot of his belly.
Yeah. just think it's fascinating that he built this all by himself. It's just great.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into your personal life. But what did you guys fall in love? I mean, how do friends fall in love? That's just amazing. And being in this business, it's just, that's, I guess, extra plus.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I know that some people don't like to mix their businesses, but for me, having someone else that is also a cinematographer that understands camera, I feel like since we started dating and being together, it actually made me a better cinematographer, honestly, because he is a techie genius type human. And so me being able to bounce ideas off of him and if I had questions about something that's really technical, a lot of times he would help me understand that a little bit more. And then I think vice versa, like we're just able to bounce ideas off each other all the time. And so he's a constant collaborator that I have access to constantly. Right. So it's helpful to have that around. Yeah. So I actually enjoy having someone else that is also in the business and in my field. But yeah, it took us about 10 years to decide to start dating.
Oh, wow. To start dating.
Yes, actually started. So we stayed friends for 10 years.
Wow.
And after 10 years, it was one of those things where it just, maybe a little TMI, but both of us were having failing relationships. And it was just after 10 years of just relationships that were not working out, we kind of looked at each other and said, why don't we just go out?
I know,
and
right?
see what happens.
Well, I'm glad you guys did.
I know. And on it, this is probably TMI, but it's pretty funny. We actually said to each other, it was like, maybe we should kiss to see if it feels weird.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, right. Makes perfect sense to me.
And it didn't.
Oh, wow.
It didn't. So we're like, oh, okay, maybe this could actually work out. And it was from the very beginning, we knew that, okay, this is it. This is our forever, people.
Right. When I met you, met both of you, it was either David, Alicia, or Alicia and David. It was just, you were just, you can't say one name without the other. And I love that. And the feeling I got when I realized that you guys haven't been married that long, to me, I'm like, it feels like they've been together forever. And now I understand. You've been.
Well, and honestly, a lot of our friends that knew us before we got together thought the same thing. When we started to date, they were going, okay, well, it's about time.
Right.
Because we'd always been such close friends and already a team. So it made sense to a lot of our friends that we would actually end up together. We just didn't realize that people were thinking that.
And you guys are so cute together. You're a great couple, a power couple right here. So Miguel told me to ask you this question. So blame it on him. How did you single-handedly?
I know it. I already know the question.
Just a single.
I knew it. As soon as you said single-handedly, that is the ongoing joke.
All by herself, she filmed the Planet of the Apes. She was the actors. She was the.
Oh my gosh! He
tell me about that.
Loves to say that to people all the time because he knows that I just sit there and I shake my head. Because it's so ridiculous, because I was not even close to being a head honcho on that movie. I did work on the film.
Right.
I did work on it. I was a 3D rig technician.
Wow.
So I was, I know, it was.
That's a lot,
it's a very complicated position.
Yeah.
I'm basically in charge of the physical attributes of the 3D rig itself and the maintenance of that rig.
Oh, okay.
And so it can be an incredibly difficult job. And that movie was a challenge.
Wow,
it really was a challenge. But I think that whole joke started because I don't know how much your audience knows who Miguel is.
Well, I interviewed Miguel, so don't. Yeah. Miguel Amonio is my best friend, and he's the co-producer and co-creator of Real Talk.
Okay, great. Because that was what our old landlord at the apartment complex that we had met. So when Miguel and Kelly met us, it was at the old apartment complex.
Right.
That is how the landlord enticed them to renting the apartment. he said, oh, you should definitely move in here because we also have some very famous filmmakers, including this woman, Alicia, who shot Planet of the Apes.
It's a Hollywood introduction to getting an apartment. I love that.
Which is so not true. So then when finally Miguel met us and he goes, I heard you shot Planet of the Apes. I'm like, no. I'm sorry to disappoint you that you moved into this apartment complex, but no, I did not shoot that movie. So
that's great though. But you really did do a really important part of the film. So
I did work on the film. I worked on the whole movie. So I was on that for several months. So I did have a part in it, but I did not single-handedly shoot the film, unfortunately.
So let's get to this wonderful experience that you're continuing to have. Tell me about your introduction into Shondaland. Miss Shonda Rhimes is a legend she's a legend all around, but in the Black community, Shonda Rhimes is like, oh! and with women as well, because she's had set the bar for a lot of women to get their just dues. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to ask you the question, but I wanted to say one thing. I worked on I do background work as a stand-in and background artist, and the first time I ever worked on Scandal, I walk in, I was standing in for Joe Morton. His stand-in was busy. So it was just one day thing. But I remember they gave us this sheet. And one thing I did was no fragrances. And I was like, I love her, because there's nothing worse than being in a room full of background actors or anyone, and 7 of them have on these fragrances driving you up the wall and you can't breathe. And you have to sit there 12 hours all day with that person. And you're like, please use me now. I got to get out of here. Shonda took care of that. Shonda, every set that she has, you don't have to worry about smelling people's, stinky perfume. I don't know why it really bothers me.
It makes sense though, because you're working in close quarters and all of those scents will blend together and make a horrible smell.
It's the worst. But
yeah,
I don't know why I put
totally
that story
makes
out.
sense.
I'm thanking her for lots of stuff, and that's the one. Oh, Chandra, thank you. But it was really important. How to Get Away with Murder, Grey's Anatomy, same stuff. It's like, oh, I can always know when I walk in these sets, I don't have to worry about some woman or man either. Some of the guys I work with, they're young, like 20, 21. And I remember when I was that age, I was dousing myself. So
oh, yeah.
It's all
No one does that.
Yeah.
It is nice for me, too, because I'm pretty sensitive to strong scents. I do wear a little Chanel. I have to stay on set, but tiny.
Yeah.
Like you have to hug me, or it's more for me because I just like to go.
Yeah.
I'm on set. Yeah, of course, now with COVID, I might as well not worry about it because I'm going to be wearing a mask anyway. Maybe I'll spray it inside of my mask.
Yeah, right.
A little Chanel inside of my mask and then put it on.
Right. So yes, let me get back to that. So your intro into Shondaland, how did that happen? And just tell me how that happened.
Yeah, it was really a lucky situation, honestly. So my first introduction to Shondaland was on a show called For the People, which I thought it was a great show. I was really sad when it didn't come back because I thought it was great. And especially now, oh my gosh, the content they could have covered in the New York law district, it would have been
great.
It would have been amazing. But anyway,
those actors were great too. I like them.
So at the time, I was still shooting my low budget independent work, working for Driving Plates, all those things. But I had submitted a short called Internet Gangsters to the Emerging Cinematographers Awards with the union. Okay. And I ended up winning one of them for the year of 2018, which immediately puts you a little bit front and center when people are looking for cinematographers or camera operators or anything like that. So what had happened was, For the People, the DP, Christian Sabalt, was looking for a C camera operator that could also bump up as a DP if he needed to do tech scouts. There were double days, all that stuff. He needed someone that could bump up. And he called the union and he asked Stephen Poster who he would recommend for a position like that. And Stephen Poster gave him my name. I think he gave probably a few people from the ECA recipient list. But I had actually worked with Christian Sabalt one day, like 2 years prior, and had done a great job for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he remembered that. He was like, oh
See?
my gosh, I remember Alicia. She's great. She actually worked for me. So he brought me in for the interview with the producers, and I landed the C camera / additional cinematographer position on For the People for the whole run of the season.
Yes.
And because I had done a good job with For the People, Grey's Anatomy in season 15 had 2 standalone episodes that they needed a cinematographer to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they called the For the People producers and asked them who they would recommend. And they immediately referred me for those standalone episodes. So I shot 2 episodes in season 15 and did a good job with those. And then
Sure
they
did.
asked me back as the full-time alternating DP on Grey's Anatomy. So it's a whirlwind.
That is amazing. You're the first female director of photography on that show
Yes.
ever, and you're only a few female DPs around, aren't there?
Well, there's actually quite a few.
Okay.
It's just the working DPs. So
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, the ones
Okay.
that are actually breaking past a certain budget level,
Mhm.
there's not many right now. And that's unfortunate because there's really amazing talent out there.
Mhm.
And it's that catch-22 situation where someone is interested in hiring someone, but they don't have the credits to be able to be hired, even though they have the ability to do it.
Right.
Because my situation was such a perfect storm where doing a season of For the People gave me those credits on an ABC show where the producers felt comfortable in bringing me on to Grey's Anatomy to shoot whole episodes. So I think that it does make it a little bit more difficult for women out there because I don't want to bash anyone at all. Oh, bug!
he fell. Okay.
I do feel like in the past, and this is not necessarily the case now, but I do feel like in the past throughout my career, and I've been shooting for about 16 years now, I did see situations where my male colleagues, also cinematographers, would shoot one short that looked amazing and then immediately get that big cinematography job.
Wow.
Whereas it seems like for women, we're having to build up so many credits before we're given that opportunity to work on something more substantial or a bigger budget. I think that that's gradually changing. I mean, it is changing for the better for women, but it is a really slow process.
Right.
It's that whole thing of you're having to put in 120% of effort all the time.
Right.
You can never back off on your effort.
It's crazy.
Whereas that hasn't always been the case with some of my male colleagues in the past.
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that's
it's so funny because when I go into sets and I don't even think about the fact that someone's male or female, but I tell you what, when I walk into a set and see that there's a female boss, I'm excited because for some reason, I don't want to generalize, but for some reason women I don't know, they just have a better way. I don't know, maybe because I listen to women better. I don't know why that is, because I was raised by very strong women and I have like 5 aunts and my sisters are very strong, and so maybe that's what it is. There's nothing more powerful than a strong woman giving
yeah, maybe. And especially if you grew up around strong women. I mean, I think that does influence people. Some people who didn't have a strong female leader in their life growing up might be taken aback by that leadership role from a female. So it's just the changing of the mentality of what people expect from a female. And I know that goes across the board with any big positions, CEO positions, all of that. So it's changing what we perceive as what a boss should be. But yeah, I mean, I just hope that I can provide more of those kind of opportunities to women, and honestly diversity as well.
Right. Yeah.
because I feel like if Christian Sabalt and those producers at For the People, if they hadn't given me that opportunity, I'm sure I would not be shooting Grey's Anatomy right now.
Right.
I know that. So it was them taking a chance. I don't want to say taking a chance because I had been shooting for many years, but I hadn't shot anything of that size. So going into it, I was really having to learn, how do I navigate the waters on a set like this as a cinematographer, where I have this huge crew with every kind of lighting you could possibly imagine, all the cameras you could
it's amazing.
It's amazing, but it actually makes it easier. And that's where I think a lot of producers fail to realize that when you're given all the resources to make a good frame, it's actually way easier than if you're working on a tiny little low budget independent project. It's so much easier when you have the resources. So, but it's hard for people to put that trust into someone who doesn't have those credits or a project with that budget range to then say, oh yes, you can DP this now. But I hope that I can provide opportunities like that for other people now that I am more in a position of power. It does open up those opportunities for people that I see talent in as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you're the kind of person, I'm sure you're going to give back, and a lot of women are going to be saying, thank you, Alicia Robbins, when they get their little horses. Alicia, thank you for taking a chance on me. No, seriously, it's amazing. Oh my goodness. So there was an episode of Grey's that you shot that became a viral sensation because of the topic, subject matter, and the way that was shot. And I was privy to see some of the, after the episode aired, some of the background shots of you and Miss Debbie Allen, how you guys trying to set up this scene. Tell us a little bit about that episode and how that became.
I'm assuming you're talking about Silent All These Years from season 15.
I'm sorry.
Yeah?
Yes.
No, it's okay. I automatically knew which one you were talking about because that has been said to be one of the most famous Grey's Anatomy episodes now.
Ever. I watched Grey's from the very first day, that it started, and I'm telling you, I've been surprised through a lot of stuff going on with Grey's. When I saw it, I just cried. I was, because I know people have been through that kind of experience, but it was just, and then knowing that you were responsible for that, it's like, oh my God, because it's like, wow, really? so I'm sorry, I'll let you talk. Go explain how that all started, how that all became that iconic, because I'm sure you guys didn't start with that at first. I'm not sure. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, well, that's another situation where I feel like I was incredibly lucky, because honestly, I think that because of what that story was, and just in case people don't know, it dealt with a rape victim.
Right.
And I believe that when they were looking to hire a DP to do that episode, I'm just guessing, but I think that they were hoping to find a female to shoot that, just because of the sensitive nature of it. And so it was just kind of a luck that I had already been working on For the People, and that I would be able to do that episode as well. So that was my very first episode that I shot for Grey's Anatomy, which is
wow.
Yeah,
Alicia,
that was the very first episode. So it was scary too, though, because I hadn't shot a TV show of that size on my own before. So going into that was intimidating, but at the same time, the support system was so amazing. And because Debbie Allen was directing, who has been such just a leader with the style of the show for many years, I didn't have to, not that I would question a director anyway, but there was a complete trust and understanding that she knew what the story called for, camera movement wise and everything, all the shots that she wanted. I didn't have to question it or suggest things, because and that made it way easier. So it was like just okay, I can absolutely put 100% trust into this director and know that she's going to tell an amazing story about this really sad content.
Right.
So we did have quite a bit of pre-production together, which was great. We were able to essentially shot list almost the entire show, which is kind of unusual too. A lot of times you're figuring out things on the day when you're working with on network TV, just because there isn't time to shot list the whole thing. But really that diner scene that we shot, that was such a huge day that we had to have it planned to a T, just minute by minute almost to get all that content. So we had it, she showed me just all the shots that she needed for the scene. And then we put 3 cameras on it. So that made it a lot easier to, and I just had it blocked out with what angles would work best together. Actually, I have a huge breakdown that I did on my YouTube channel of how we did that scene.
Oh, cool. Wow. That's awesome. I'll check it out.
Yeah. So I explained exactly how we did it. So it's a good little film school study of how we did that 13-page scene in one day.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
But the, like the hallway of women, which is one of the most iconic shots.
That's when I started crying. I'm like, oh, so beautiful.
Yeah, and of course, Grey's Anatomy always picks the best music to
always. I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, you knew they would just go, oh, they found the perfect song.
I was crying like a baby.
Well, and what was so great about that scene too is, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but that was lined with not just background, but almost all the women that are a part of Grey's Anatomy.
I noticed, but it was
the producers, executive producers,
that's amazing,
hair, makeup, editorial, they were all in there. And because it spoke, that story spoke to everyone, and everyone was asking to be a part of that hallway of women, and
that was beautiful.
So we had to execute that perfectly. And I think we did. I think we pulled it off pretty well.
I want to thank you for that, because I don't want to get into too much deep, sad information, but I have, as a young person, I had gone through a similar situation, unfortunately. And so it was like I found solidarity just watching the episode, even though I'm not a woman, it can happen to men as well.
Of course.
And it stays with you, but it's something that has made me a stronger person. But every once in a while, you see something like that and you just realize, oh, you're not alone. Even though it's a fictionalized show, it's still, those things happen. So I am not alone in that situation. But it's the most unreported, one of the most unreported crimes, and women are very ashamed because people make them feel like that it's their fault, and make them feel guilty about it, what were you wearing, stuff like that. So for you to put that on the show was so deep and so amazing to see that, and that shot was just so great for to like bring up those feelings so you can just like let them out and let them go.
Right.
And it really helped me a lot, believe it or not, it really did.
Well, and that's one reason why I knew I really wanted to be part of it. It wasn't a question when they asked me to come back the next year as a full-time alternating. I was 100% in, because I could tell that what we were telling story-wise was very important. And it was something about how the hotlines for rape victims, people started calling in. It got crazy because of that episode. People started feeling like I can actually reach out to someone, because I think they put a little PSA up at the end.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So people start feeling more comfortable about, okay, Grey's Anatomy can talk about it. I should be able to talk about it. And so the hotline numbers went through the roof.
Yeah.
So that alone, just seeing that, oh my gosh, this is actually a show that really can make a difference.
Yes, it sure can.
I love part of that. And also just coming up for this next season, it's not, I'm not giving up any trade secrets. It's been announced that we are going to cover COVID topics.
Makes sense.
Which I think is amazing. Of course we should cover COVID topics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to see inside of a hospital during this time.
Yeah. Oh,
well, first of all, you can't.
Right.
Because no one's allowed in. So if we can actually do storyline around it.
Gosh, that'd be great.
Kind of see behind the scenes of what goes on in this situation. I think it's amazing. So I'm actually really looking forward to how powerful that could be for this next season as well.
Also, there's an evolution you've made this season from being an alternate to being the boss.
Well, I'm still alternating. I mean, we're still
but
alternating.
but still,
But yes. Yeah, no, that's true. So now I will be taking the lead DP position.
Right, that's what I should say.
Still alternating with another DP who's fabulous.
That's
so yeah, that was a change that just happened at the end of last season. So
yeah.
I know. Dude, that's what I mean. It's been a whirlwind. It's crazy.
Yeah,
just going from being the C operator just a couple years ago, and now I'm getting to be a lead DP on a ABC show. It's amazing.
A hit ABC show that's been on for many years. I mean, almost 2 decades before you know it. And it hasn't gotten stale. It has not gotten stale.
I know.
It just gets better and better. And I love it.
It's gaining momentum.
Yeah, and I like the ensemble, the way the ensemble cast. That's you know, we have our anchor, of course, Meredith Grey. She's just such a fantastic young lady. I know her name in real life. I just forgot for a second.
Ellen Pompeo.
Ellen Pompeo. Sorry, Ellen Pompeo. You know I know your name. But yeah, just having her as an anchor, and then you know, like, you know, some cast members they're staying, like Mr. Pickens is still there.
Yes. And Chandra Wilson is still there. Yeah.
Those are the mainstays that are still there. But I like the fact that some of that the cast can change and evolve, but still the main focus and the main heart of the show is still Grey's Anatomy, because it's called Grey's. We mean Meredith Grey. It's called Grey's.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important.
It's very really. So let me ask you. I know that you have some recent projects that you've done and some that have recently come out. We have a friend in common or a coworker in common, Danny Pudi. You got to work with him. Tell us about Baby Splitters. It's hilarious, and it's like this concept is great. So tell the audience about that.
Yeah, it's a feature film that just released in July, and it's available on any streaming platform, so Amazon and Vudu and all those things. But it's a really fun concept. When I read the script immediately, I knew that, oh my gosh, I think I got to shoot this. Fun fact, it's the same director that I worked with on Internet Gangsters, which is the film that got me the ECA award.
Right.
So this was our second collaboration, which is really cool. But Baby Splitters is about 2 couples, and neither couple really wants to have the responsibility of completely raising a child. So they come up with this harebrained idea of, why don't they just share a child among the 4 of them to help with the responsibility of said child. But how that comes into play, how they have to have one parent from one and another parent from the other couple, all of that plays into the hilarity of this film. So
we don't want to give anything away, but I'm telling you, it's hilarious. And I've never seen Daddy in that light, because I'm used to I worked in Community for like 6 seasons, 6 seasons basically, and he's
a great leading man.
So good.
He's such a great leading man, and that's one reason why we're happy to have him want to do the lead, because it was so awesome to see him in that role.
Totally. I knew his suaveness behind the scenes, and he turned into Abed, and people think that's all I'm like, no, this man is a versatile actor, and he's so good in this movie. Yeah. And you did a great job. I love it.
He was amazing to work. The whole cast was amazing to work with. I mean, just really solid actors across the board, and I'm really happy with the film and the fact that it's outright. It's kind of fun that I actually had a summer release in the middle of a pandemic. I know.
It's awesome.
I had to remind myself of that.
Yeah,
like that's the thing with this whole pandemic too, with COVID, you forget some of the things that are happening that are amazing.
Right.
And it was that weekend when the film came out, I was literally having a day that I felt so mopey and just underproductive and just not have, and then it triggered, I have a movie out this weekend. I just released a film that I was a DP on this weekend. And so immediately I cracked open some wine. I'm like, I'm celebrating.
That's amazing.
This is huge. I should be
Yeah.
celebrating.
It really is. Yeah, yeah. You're doing so much stuff, and yeah, people ask me, how are you doing during the pandemic? And of course, mentally, a lot of the stuff is emotionally is bothering me, but I've been very productive. I mean, what am I going to, like you said, what am I going to do? Twiddle my thumbs. It's like, you need to do something. And now I feel like I can't waste this time.
Right.
And like there are certain days you come, you're working hours and you get home and you're like, oh, I can waste the whole day. I can't do that anymore. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Even though I have all day to do nothing, I'm not going to do nothing all day.
At the same time, I do feel like anyone out there that is doing nothing.
Oh yeah, I'm not judging.
I know exactly, because that was part of my issue, was that I was giving myself such a hard time on days that I would just binge watch a TV show all day long, and then I would give myself a hard time about doing that. And it's like we all work so hard,
right,
all the time, that in some ways now is a time also to feel okay with taking a break. And I think that when we all come back to work, I'm hoping that some of those attributes of being restful and trying to find rest can stick with people.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to just get caught up with so much work over again that you forget that it's actually important to take time off too.
Right.
David Smith. David
Smith. Is he standing here listening to you? He's like, honey. Yeah,
he forgets to take time off sometimes.
Yeah, it is important. Yeah, I do. I'm not going to say I don't take those days and binge watch. I was gonna say Grey's Anatomy. I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race. They're just the same show, just a little bit different. Yeah, it's like I've got this one channel now, this new service that my friend let me use, and it's all drag all day, every day.
Cool.
So much fun.
Why not? See, you're permitted to do that.
I just got a text from someone that asked me, seriously, so I'm watching All Stars 1. Are you going to watch All Stars 2? That's RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm like, you can tell I'm super gay.
It sounds like I need to watch the show if you're getting texts about it.
Oh my goodness, you have never seen RuPaul's Drag Race?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
Where does it stream?
Alicia, I have got to get you involved in RuPaul's Drag Race. It's won the Emmy for 2 years in a row for best reality show. It's amazing. He's won best host.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been around for 15 seasons or 10 seasons or something like that. 11. No.
Oh my gosh. Well. Okay. So that's binging for a while.
I'll show you. Yeah. It's on VH1, but now they're going to release all the episodes on CBS All Access. And there's also I have another app that I forgot what it's called at the moment, but it has all of the drag shows. And
cool.
So we'll have a drag marathon one day. I'll pick the best season so you can watch. Or I'll just let you know. I think season 10 is probably the best one to get into.
Really? Okay. Yeah, nice.
It's amazing.
Okay.
So now,
I do like some reality shows. It always depends on what it is.
It's a competition reality show, so it's about.
Fun.
Basically, what it is about let's say 11 to 12 drag queens compete to be the drag queen of the world or whatever, and RuPaul's the host.
Fun.
And he created the whole thing. It's all of his music. He's choreographed numbers. They have to go through these little challenges. And they have something called the Snatch Game, which is like Match Game back in the day. But and they do all these impressions of different people. And
awesome.
It's great. Ellen Pompeo, I think she's been a guest judge.
Oh, that's so cool.
A lot of people love to be on that show as guest judges because they love the show. So.
Okay.
I don't know how I get involved in it. All of a sudden, I just got off the subject of Alicia.
No, I'll check it out. Yeah, that sounds good.
So, what do you have coming up in the future that you want to promote or talk about? That's
well, it's great. It's Grey's Anatomy.
Show called
Grey's Anatomy. That's really on my calendar for at least the next 9 months. I mean, provided that California doesn't have to shut down again.
Right.
You know, that can always happen. Not too much you can do about that.
Right.
But provided that we're able to come back to work and actually shoot and stay healthy and keep everyone safe, that is my agenda for the next 9 months. So
I'm throwing my hat in and let you know I'm so willing to take a COVID test every single day.
It's probably what's going to happen with most people.
Don't mind.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of testing.
Yeah, it's so funny. My OCD comes in really handy around this time. People used to make fun of me on set. I wipe down everything and spray everything and cover my chair. Like, Briscoe, what are you doing? Look, I don't know who had this chair last time. I've seen some of you guys go to the bathroom, not wash your hands.
Yeah. No, you have to.
When I go to, this is too TMI though. When I go to the restroom and I see a person come in and they run out and they don't want, I look at their feet, see where their feet are, and then I go and try to find their shoes and go, oh, yeah, he didn't wash his hands. I'm not gonna shake hands with him. He was like, no, they don't wash their, sometimes they'll just go in, very rarely, but I'm like, yeah.
That's so weird. I don't understand how, I don't get that.
It wasn't Grace, it was a Glow. It was on the set of Glow, and this is right when COVID just a little bit just started to come out, and there was a thing on the wall that says, please, everyone, just, if you're gonna shake it, wash your hands because the splash will go on your wrist. And I was like, who wrote this? It was gross.
It's not even that. You're touching the handle to go in the bathroom. Yeah, you're touching all the, and that's not an OCD thing. That's what's crazy, is washing your hands after going to the restroom is not being OCD.
No, I know. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Weren't you all taught this as kids? It's like, wash your hands and don't double dip either when you're.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it was in this. Well, the food situations can be very different going back to set because there's not going to be buffet lines anymore. Right. But even then, I had a friend that had advised me to wash my hands before going through the buffet line and after.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And after, because you touch all the tongs and then you wash your hands again. Right. And I did not get sick. Knock on wood. Last season, I was the only one that didn't come down with a cold or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that played into it, was just because that's where you're probably going to get it, is from touching tongs. And so once COVID's all done and they can do buffet lines again, that is a great tip. Wash your hands before, wash your hands after going through the buffet line.
I do want to say this too. I noticed a lot of crew guys, they come into the bathroom, they wash their hands first before they go to the bathroom because they touch all this crappy stuff. They don't want to touch their stuff.
But then you got to do it again after.
And then they wash it, and then they usually wash it. Yeah, they forget about it. Oh, wash it first. No, those guys, the ones that wash their hands first, come back and wash their hands afterwards. I know they're like,
of course,
they're wash it up like this.
Because it's true. And also in Grey's Anatomy, people are so used to watching people get ready for surgery.
Right.
So I think people think about it a little bit more on our set, honestly.
You know, I want to thank you for one thing. It was so amazing. I had worked on Grey's before you got on the show, just here and there. And I'd seen Miss Debbie Allen in the hallways and, like, nod, good morning, at the elevator. She's standing all alone. I walk by her, good morning, good morning. You know how she is. But I'd never officially had met her. And you know how, I don't know, you know how much she meant to me as far as, as we were both dancers. And I followed her career since Good Times when she was playing the heroin addict, JJ. Anyway. And there was a show she had, 3 Girls 3. I don't even know if she remembers she did that show. It was 3 women. I don't remember, Mimi, Kennedy, I think it was another woman, and Debbie. And it was a variety show. And they were the stars. And I said, look at this black woman. She's the lead of this show. And then, so anyway, jump all the way to that day I'm on set. And you asked me, Rista, have you met Debbie officially? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, all scared. And it was when COVID was like raging. So she you bring me over to her and I put my hand out and she goes, no elbow, and we elbowed. And
all right, we're starting the elbow thing.
The elbow thing. And I was like, I wanted to jump out and say, I'm rubbing elbows with Debbie Allen, but I was like, in my mind I'm screaming that, and then I'm like, oh wow, Alicia, thank you. You didn't even realize that what you were doing. You were just really just bringing me around full circle to a woman that I admired and watched her work. And I watched her work on set and realized, wow. And then I come on set and watch you work, and I know you personally, and I'm like, look at this, look at her go. You were just so in your zone, and it's something that that you were meant to do this. You were meant for this.
Oh, thank you.
And it shows, not because, like I said, people can't see your work behind the scenes. They don't know what you're putting into it. They only see what they see on screen. And I want everyone to know that you do a fantastic job. I'm not kissing your butt because I want to work again. I'm just telling you that it's the truth.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see, and I'm so proud of you. The time I met you at the apartment, and you guys were two crazy young people to me, and I'm like, look at them. They're such a like cute couple, and I didn't realize that all the talent that you guys really, I keep saying you guys, y'all had in you. And I just want to say that I'm really blessed to know you. And thank you for being on my show.
Aw, thank you.
This has been nice. We're gonna do it again when you have something else to promote. We're gonna bring you back, and we'll see if we can have Mr. David C. Smith on the show as well. If he's too shy, hiding behind the scenes, but
no, he's not shy.
I know he's not at all. He's not shy at all. No, I'm just joking. Which I love about him.
We'll get him in here.
We'll get him in here, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I want to sign off. I want to tell everyone that remember this: if you have a dream in your heart and a plan, it's never too late. Can you dig it? Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Mwah.